Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another Tuesday Cruiser Chat with Otram. Sorry I missed last week's chat. Got up last Tuesday morning, uh, started my run through the woods, got about a mile into the woods, and just started puking. I don't know if I ate something or what, but I got a wicked stomach bug last Tuesday. And yeah, was not in any way, shape, or form good to do chat. So yeah, sorry I missed that last week. Trying to think what's going on new at the shop this week. I guess the past 2 weeks. The race team got the last of their stuff out of the new side of our shop, so we're moving in over there. We just got a bunch of the stuff set up and got a new gantry crane put together. Crash pulled an engine over there last week, so that's moving along. Once we get it a little bit more set up, I'll do like a walkthrough video, showing how we're rearranging the shop with the extra space. But yeah, so yeah, nothing super exciting going on. Crash just pulled a 1FZ drivetrain out of LX450, finished it up this morning. That's going to become a timing cover video for the 1FZ. I'll probably be filming that later this week. Danny's got to get the head off and get everything prepped, and then I'll do the video on the timing chain. I think that's it. Everything for new and exciting. Just a bunch of regular jobs other than that in the shop right now. So yeah, nothing planned again for this evening. So whatever you guys want to chat about or questions, just let me know, and I'll do my best to answer them. And Miles, glad you made it. It always amazes me how many people watch the recorded chats. But I'm glad when more people are able to tune in for the live part. I'm trying to think. I thought there was something else that I was going to talk about what's going on at the new shop, and now I don't remember what it was. Oh, that's cool. I didn't think about listening to him podcast style. And no problem. I figure it's no use in keeping info all bottled up. It helps to share. That way more folks can keep cruisers up and running and going. And I might get my 80 in the shop this weekend. I might have enough time to squeeze in a knuckle job on my own truck this weekend if we can get one of the trucks off the lift before then. And then I can actually start driving it and seeing what else it really needs, because I know that thing's going to need a ton. And the dogs are looking at me like they want to go out. You go outside? What? Going out? Yeah, I've been really slacking on the how-to videos. I guess the last couple of months. We just haven't had anything new and exciting come through the shop. Being a cruiser shop, we mostly do the same job over and over and over again. So it's been a waiting game to get something worth filming in, and I'm hoping this timing chain job will make for good video. We get questions about it quite a bit, and this one is the leakiest timing cover I've ever seen. There was oil dripping off the spare tire carrier. Spare tire. It was leaking so bad. As far as the 2013 79, I have no idea. We never got those here. We're not cool enough to get the 70 series in the US. So I've never seen one. Well, here in the US, I've seen them in South Central America, but we don't really get the chance to work on them. Just follow the factory maintenance schedule would be my biggest advice. And to Miles with the clunk in the drive shaft, we're seeing a lot of 80 series lately with the slip joint worn out, and the splines get sloppy enough that when you change directions, they go clunk, clunk as the spline slop gets taken up. And unfortunately, the only real fix for that is a new drive shaft. You can usually tell, like, if you grease the slip joint and the noise gets better or goes away for a little bit, that's a pretty good indicator that the slip joint's your problem. And to Ben, we don't get a ton of 40s through. We do a ton of 80 series, 100 series, some 60s and 62s. We don't do a ton of 40, although I think we've got 4 or 5 of them in the shop right now. But nothing that's really video worthy. Yeah, on the repacking the yoke, sometimes it'll get you some time, but as soon as it slops around enough to squish the grease back out, you're back to where you started. Most of the 80s we're seeing are, mid 200,000 miles now. So the the drive shafts have had a long and healthy life, and they're just they're starting to get worn out. To Jim, the factory lockers are really common to get sticky. Because most of them through the years never got used. Nobody knew what the lockers did. It was people just daily driving them. So the lockers get, frozen, gummed up, and sticky. Neither of the lockers on my 80 work. So I've got to go through them and clean them out. If it's engaging and the rear diff light is still flashing, there's probably an issue with, there's a little limit switch that when the locker shaft goes over, it pushes the switch to tell the, tell the truck that it's engaged. You may have, a broken wire, something going to that limit switch, or just that limit switch is bad. Without looking at it, that'd be my guess. But if they're engaged, if they're engaging, I would guess you've got a problem in the actual, like the limit switch that tells everything that's engaged circuit. We had one a few weeks ago that I had to pull rear axle shafts to do something, and the rear would not lock, would not lock, and I ended up taking the motor housing apart, manually locking it so I could pull the diff or pull the axle shafts, and then manually unlocking it and putting it back together. And since then, it's worked fine. It was just sticky. Yeah, turning it off and on gravel roads, definitely, exercise it and try to help it stay lubed and less sticky. And to Miles, kind of the same thing. There's a couple of limit switches down on the transfer case that tell the computer, hey, I'm in, unlocked. Hey, I'm in locked. And as the motor shifts them, they change. I've seen those go bad the connectors are getting brittle enough that we've seen quite a few of them with just the whole connector broken off of the switch. And without the switch working, the computer never knows when it's locked or not, so it never knows to turn the light on the dash. And it's not fun, but to diagnose them, you really just end up going through the wiring diagram and pinning it out until you find what's not working. And to Vicken, on the 80 series, we usually use the Gamma VD gears. I've had really good success with those. There's a guy on eBay selling metal ones now, like bronze or brass or something like that, that theoretically would hold up better than the plastic ones, but I have yet to try a set, so I don't really know anything about them. And to Ian, shoot us an email at otram@otram.com, and I can get you an estimate together. There's lots of variables that are going to change pricing, and it's easier to do it via email than it is to try to do it over live chat. But it is not cheap. But it's been probably a year since I've done a 100 series. We don't see too many of those for re-gears yet. We do quite a few 80s, but not as many 100s. Where you guess you also, if you go to our website, there's like a button like on the front page of the website that says request an estimate. And that'll get me all the info I need to get an estimate together. I will say I am very far behind on writing estimates right now. God, I got behind when we went to Portugal, and I'm probably still, I've got 20 to write or so. I hate writing estimates. They take me way too long. But I will get it out. But it may be a bit before I can get it written. Come back in. I usually just get the drive shafts from Toyota. They seem to be the easiest source. I haven't really looked into aftermarket ones. You know, the factory ones lasted 20 some years and several 100,000 miles. So they've proven their durability to me. So that's just what I stick with. And to Thomas, grinding noise with a 3-inch lift on D-cell from the front end. It could be U-joint, could be losing my mind. Could be drive shaft angle. It could be pinion bearings going bad. When the pinion bearings start going bad, the gear mesh changes from decel or acceleration to deceleration. So you'll hear it. You'll hear it there. Noises are one of those things that are really hard to diagnose without actually seeing them in person and being able to lay hands on them. Yeah. You basically, I would just, jack the front end up and, get the front wheels off the ground and just start shaking drivetrain components and see if you can feel something loose. My gut says pinion bearing, but we also see quite a few drive shaft slip joints causing weird grindy noises. The drive shaft slip joints, when I've seen them on the front, it seems to change pitch as you go over like variations in road, like if it's a washboard road and the suspension's working, you'll hear the drive shaft slip joint move, and you'll hear the pitch change, where pinion usually only changes like drive to coast. And I haven't priced drive shafts in a while, but Toyota was pretty competitive from what I remember aftermarket ones costing. We used to have a super awesome drive shaft guy local, that would fix up, patch up, replace welded in components, retube drive shafts, like insanely cheap. And he was awesome, but he retired a couple of years ago, and I have yet to find a replacement for him to build shafts for me. And awesome, Thomas. Glad you dig the videos. Yeah, you don't have to remove the tie rod to do the knuckles. We just do it because it's easier to get the arms completely off and get everything clean. Everything cleaned with the tie rods loose, because we just throw the arms in the parts washer. Restless Outdoors wants to know about a transmission fluid change on an 03 Land Cruiser. Drain and fill is worth doing as preventative maintenance. And on the 03, it's still relatively easy because you've actually got a drain plug and a dipstick you can fill from. The later ones are a lot harder to change because there's no dipstick, and you've got to use a scan tool and read temperatures, and yeah, it's a pain. But 03, drain and fill is probably worthwhile doing. I wouldn't do a flush. I've heard bad things about flushing, dislodging stuff and getting it in the valve body. So we just do the drain and fills at the shop. And it's, you're not going to get all the fluid out, but you'll get, maybe a third draining it from the pan. So you're at least getting, some fresh fluid in there, some fresh friction modifier. Yeah, cruisers will hold up to an insane amount of abuse. We see a ton that have never had the transmission fluid changed. And it'll go, a couple 100,000 miles. But it's better to change it. And to Robert, P0402 or P0401? I don't know that I've ever diagnosed a 402. We get the 401s a ton. And 402 is probably going to be similar to troubleshooting a 401 because it's still an exhaust flow code. And it's not fun, but you end up just going through the factory manual and pinpoint testing, the EGR modulator, the EGR valve, the EGR VSV. 401, if I'm remembering right, 401's insufficient EGR flow, where I just looked up 402, and 402 is excessive. Excessive could also be that there's something stuck and keeping the EGR valve open, but usually it won't idle, if the EGR valve is open all the time. I think 420 and 421 are the cat codes. It depends on the code. Misfire codes, you can do some damage. The 401, Theoretically, you could get pinging on the highway with it, but we've never actually seen that as a downfall. But yeah, the EGR flow codes on an 80 series are just so much fun to chase down, because it usually ends up being a combination of issues. Like, it'll be a bad vacuum switching valve plus a clogged up, vacuum hose or vacuum line. So they're a lot of fun to chase down. And on a 94, EGR VSV only works when I put it in drive. Like, I'm not quite following you. Because it should... Yeah, it should work all the time, and then it turns off when you want the EGR, if I'm thinking correctly. But yeah, I've never actually troubleshot it. Well, I guess I have done a 94, and I don't remember there being any parameter for transmission gear selection in that circuit. That's weird. Thinking. Yeah, I'm not sure what would cause the EGR to only work in drive. That's weird. I don't know what would tie the two together. My best guess is there's a short somewhere in the wiring harness. The main harness where it wraps around where it comes from the firewall down and comes through to the injectors is known for melting. It's known for melting against the EGR pipe right there. It's possible you've got a couple of wires melted together. Normally you see it like mess up the injector firing, but it's possible that you've got an EGR VSV or something else melted together in there. Cool, Miles, thanks for tuning in, and good luck with the baby. And I don't think I've done a video on just doing the valve cover gasket on the 1FZ. The head gasket video, part 1 would cover removing it, and part 4 would cover putting it back on. But I don't think, I'm almost positive I haven't done a video on just the valve cover gasket by itself. And the less, yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one. I have yet to come across that. It might be worthwhile, like, looking, well, you'd be able to tell from the outside if it had been melted, because you'd have melt marks on the harness. But if you've got melt marks, it might be worthwhile to, like, peel the bundle apart and make sure no wires are stuck together. Because if they were melted stuck together, wiggling might not change it. I'm trying to think where else you would have something funky like that. And to Nigel, we haven't done any suspensions lately. I've got, I think, 200 or 300 series to do. We haven't had any 80 series for suspension in quite a few months. I've got to do mine at some point once I get money for the actual suspension. Uh, but yeah, we haven't had many come through. We've had a couple 200s and some hundreds lately, but nothing on the 80 series. And good website to get decently priced OE parts for Toyota. I have not checked. I haven't checked online dealer pricing lately. I've heard McGeorge is good down in Richmond, Virginia, but I haven't dealt with them. I get everything from my local Toyota dealer because I do enough business through them that they stock most of the stuff for the 80 and 100 for me, so I can get a lot of parts really quick. So it's worth it to me to not have to shop around. And I don't have reviews on Dobinson's suspension. I've put one of their rear bumpers on. I don't remember if I think it was a 100 series. Either an 80 series or a 100 series. I think a 100 series rear bumper tire carrier. And it was the biggest pile of crap I have ever seen. It was just absolute garbage. Hopefully their suspension's better. But yeah, I haven't really seen their suspensions enough to know. And Bach Toyota in Massachusetts, I haven't heard that name in a while. Yeah, when I lived in Boston, we got lots of parts from Bach. That dude owns a ton of dealerships. I don't know if Richie or Jailbreak Overlander is on here, but I know he runs Dobinson Springs also. But he's always swapping and switching things around, so I don't know what he's currently running. But I feel like he had Dobinsons at least for a while. Oh yeah, I forgot you know Richie on Instagram. I think that dude changes more parts than I do. I know he's running King shocks now. I don't know what he's running for springs. I need a money tree. We planted a peach tree and we don't even get peaches off it. I'm surprised he hasn't popped up. But I think he does a podcast at about this time on Tuesdays. Because it's rare that he pops in on here. And man, it just hit me. A 7-inch spring is a huge spring on an 80. My 80 build is going terribly. It's not going terribly. I haven't had time, inclination, or money to really work on it. Like I had to order some stuff from Metal Tech like a month or two ago, so I threw a pair of caster plates on for it when I ordered from them. I was ordering a bunch of stuff from Cruiser Brothers, so I ordered the knuckle rebuild kit for it. I've got a water pump sitting there and belts and hoses and a radiator. I just haven't had time to really mess with it. I'm hoping to get time to put going brain dead. I'm hoping to have time to do the knuckles this weekend. Because once I get knuckles done, I can actually start driving it. Wheel spacers versus new rims. I would go new rims over spacers just because it's less bolted components to go bad. So, new rims with proper backspacing, it's just one less thing to fail. And a Devil Dog, who would you trust for a used diesel engine importer? I honestly don't know. I've never imported, a diesel motor. Jory or Yuri Pretori, it's something like that. That's down in South Texas. I've heard really good things about the stuff he brings in, but I've never actually dealt with him. I want to say he's something like Joe Katana on mud, but I'm not positive. And to Jake of All Terrains, Pirate wishes it was I Hate Mud. You've got that backwards. I Hate Mud will always be far superior to Pirate in every way possible. And to Nigel, yes, we got the other space next to the shop. They finally moved the last of their stuff out last weekend, but they had most everything cleared out. So we've been using the space, just not to its fullest extent. And we haven't set it up completely yet. But it's coming along. It's usable now. We just don't have shelves or AC or anything over there yet. Although it's getting warm enough that I'm going to need to put AC in there soon. And there is that Cummins crate motor. I haven't dealt with one. But that is a possibility. It seems to be real popular. Lots of people are throwing it in things. One of the other shops in our little industrial park is supposed to be doing an R2.8 diesel swap into, I think it's a TJ. So it'll be interesting to see that motor in person. And I'm pretty sure it's like blue line off-road, thin blue line off-road, something along those lines. I'm pretty sure they've done a 2.8 to H55 or they've done a 2.8 to Toyota bell housing. I don't remember exactly which Toyota transmission it was, but that seemed to be really cool. I won't be doing a video on removing the 80 engine without removing the tranny, because it's a complete pain in the ass to pull the engine without pulling the trans and T case. It's much, much easier to pull the engine with the trans and T case attached and then split them on the ground. Because with the entire drivetrain out, all the wiring harness and plumbing and all that jazz that's going down the side is right there out in the open. We've done it in the past, like pulled just the engine, and it's not much fun to get everything to mate back together in the truck. It's much, much easier to pull the whole drivetrain out. And I've not dealt with many Cummins motors, I'm not a huge fan. I've got friends that love them. Um, there's a reason I work on Toyota stuff and not American made stuff. I much prefer Japanese engineering. So yeah, we don't do diesel swaps and like American V8 swaps, just because we're a Toyota shop and I work on Toyota. Um, but yeah, uh, yeah. Back to less. We pulled a 1FZ out this morning because we're doing a timing cover on it. And we're not doing anything to the trans and TKs, but it was easier to pull the whole chunk to do it that way. The drivetrain weighs a ton. Uh, Danny, when he started picking the motor up, had our engine hoist out one notch too far. He had it on, I think, the half-ton notch, and it was picking the back of the engine crane up. So we had to move it back to the 1-ton fitting or notch. Full drivetrain, I would guess it's probably around 1,000 pounds. We've just got a regular old, run-of-the-mill parts store cherry picker, and it handles it fine. It's hard to get the balance right because a cherry picker with it set at the right weight rating doesn't reach deep enough to grab by the balance points. You end up having to do some finagling with a jack and some straps to get the trans up and over the front cross member. We just got a gantry crane for that reason, so we can just roll it, over the top of the engine bay and pick the engine more or less straight up from its balance point and then roll the gantry crane forward. But we haven't actually tried it yet because we just got all the pieces to finish putting it together this afternoon. I'm trying to think what our cherry picker is. I mean, we picked the drivetrain out with it on the 1-ton mark. We do have a 1HDT at the engine at the shop. It was actually running this morning. Crash went out and fired it up to keep the batteries charged. Yeah, I've been eyeballing a gantry crane for a couple of years, but with just the 2 bays, we didn't have enough room to store one. Now that we've got the other side of the shop, we finally got space that we can have a gantry crane. I think it's going to make a lot of things easier. And I don't know anybody that's done a TDI swap in a Toyota. There's a local guy that swaps them into everything else. He does a lot of old Beetles and vans and stuff like that. That he puts the TDIs in. Super swap would be awesome. Although I had a 7M GTE Supra, and dump trucks beat that thing off the line until you got the turbo spooled up. It was slow. It did not have low-end torque. But I had a buddy that put one in an old mini truck, like a 86, 87 mini truck, and that thing flew with a Supra motor in it. Yeah, I think 7M GTE or 2JZ would be awesome in a cruiser if you could get low end torque to come in quicker. Yeah, I got tired of trying to get that Supra sorted. It seemed like something was always broken on it. I traded it for a trailer. I don't know, 15 or so years ago. Actually talked to the buddy of mine that bought it. He still owns it and is getting ready to do a bunch of like turbo fuel injector tuning work on it to perk it up a little bit. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest decision I ever made trading it for a trailer, and I never even used that trailer. We moved to Boston a couple of months later, and I sold it when we moved. One of these days, I need to get a trailer and a tow rig so I can start taking the pumpkin back out on the trail again. Yeah, unfortunately, the buddy of mine that bought the Supra moved to Nashville after buying it, so he's quite a ways away. No, it was not a double wide. It was just a car hauling trailer. Double wide would have been a better deal, though. Yeah, turbo and turbo specs are well above my pay grade. I leave that to the guys that know turbo tuning. And you'll have to excuse the fidgeting. I've got poison ivy on both ankles, and it's killing me. I kind of want to put a turbo on the on the Shop 80 just to see what a 1FZ with 350,000 miles makes of a uh, turbo edition. And no, I have not found a water pump for Mom. Um, I'm assuming Georg didn't find one because he didn't text me back. And I was in air chisel hell all day today, taking an FJ62 frame apart. Um, so no, I've not continued looking for mom's water pump. When I get off of here, I'll do some digging to see if I can find one anywhere. And thanks to Devil Dog for the suggestion to hit the like button. I always forget that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got into the poison ivy when I was weed eating in the backyard over the weekend. Which I mean, at least it's on my ankles. My wife got it up, it's going up her neck and ears. So at least I don't have it going anywhere, like everybody can see all the funky poison ivy. So I guess there's that. I need to do more in the merch department. We've got the t-shirts up on Store Frontier, but that's about as far as I've gotten with it. Yeah, I for years and years was not allergic to poison ivy. I could roll in it and not get it. And the last couple of years, now I get it. Um, Tire valve caps with my logo would be pretty awesome. That is something I would have never thought of as far as marketing. I had a marketing guy email me and he's like, "Yeah, you need Otram mouse pads." And like, I don't even know anybody that still uses mouse pads. That may be it. And I have overstayed my immunity with poison ivy. Yeah, I'd never even thought of logoed valve stems. Awesome. That'd be cool. Sorry, my phone's going crazy also. Yeah, I'm a bit worried about poison ivy. I took up trail running a couple of months ago, trying to get a bit healthier. And now that it's becoming spring, the trails are growing in really tight with stuff that I'm not quite sure if it's poison ivy or if it's just viney bushes. I have a feeling I'm going to find out the answer to that soon, and it's not going to be good. Oh, we do have Otram stickers. If anybody needs stickers, just shoot me an email with your address, and I can send out Otram stickers. I had a ton of them printed the last time I ordered them because I thought I had ordered 100 last time, and we went through them fairly quickly. So I ordered 200. Well, it turns out I only ordered 50 the previous time. So I've got a ton of stickers. Yeah, no scratching. I wore tall socks today just to make sure that I couldn't get to them to mess with them. I am not spinning and twirling for you. There's actually nothing on the back. It's only printed on the front. Um, any preference on roof rack for an 80 series? I I don't have a definitive preference. We see a lot of Prinsu and front runners come through, both in cruisers. I've never seen one in person, but they look super awesome online. So those are probably pretty cool. Thanks for tuning in, T25. We'll catch you later. But yeah, we see a lot of Prinsu and front runner, and I feel like there's a third one we see a lot, but I can't think of the name right now. I think Bowfin does them for an 80, and Bowfin stuff looks really nice. And I have not seen anybody making a stainless steel snorkel in the US. You see tons of pictures of them from like South and Central America, but I don't know anybody making them here. I'd imagine anybody that does like marine stainless should be able to whip one out fairly easily. Headers, I don't think anybody in the States is making those either in stainless. Yeah, I don't think, like, Manafray used to have FJ62 headers, and I'm not sure what they were made of. They were ceramic coated. And all the 2F stuff, I've only seen like chrome plated or painted. I haven't seen stainless. And I haven't seen anybody in the US making stainless headers like for the 1FZ. ACC Toyota down in Atlanta, I think, was bringing them in from Australia, or was at least looking at bringing them in from Australia. But I haven't actually followed that to see what actually became of it. And I think CX Racing brings them in from China. Although I ordered one of their like turbo, like 6-into-1 turbo manifold flanges just to see what the quality was like, and it was not good. So I probably wouldn't recommend one of their headers. We don't have really work uniforms. We had a bunch of red cap shirts that, I just had embroidered with our names a couple of years ago, and we wore those out. I just bought a batch of the new red cap, like lightweight, button-up mechanic shirts. I got a couple of those a month or two ago to try them out, and I'm on the fence about them. But Crash does not like wearing uniform shirts, so he's always in, just a regular old T-shirt. He only puts his O-Tram shirt on when he wants to look presentable. So yeah, we're kind of a hodgepodge of uniforms at the moment. And to Robert, the white knuckle rock sliders are awesome. They're probably my current favorite as far as like bolt-on sliders go. Yeah, it's funny. Crash's, work shirts always look pristine because he takes them off before he gets dirty and, destroys whatever T-shirt he's wearing underneath. I'm completely the opposite. My work shirts always look destroyed because I'm always getting them with the grinder, getting them with the welder, spilling gear oil down them, sealer. So I change mine out fairly often. Whenever my wife sees me, editing a video and says, "Your shirt looks like crap. You need new shirts." I'm not a big hat person. Crash wears hats. Um, I've started wearing one just when I'm running, just to keep the sweat out of my eyes. But not a super hat person. Are you trying to say that I need to wear a hat? Oh, you've opened the bad door. Um, I can start wearing shop thongs when I know you're coming to visit. Um, I've got a friend of my wife and I's that gets me thongs and assless underwear every year for Christmas. So yeah, you just let me know when you're coming, and I can rock a thong for you. And yes, Angel, I know that you haven't seen books all that often. Uh, yeah, most of them are my wife's. The mechanic books are out of frame over to the side. Um, 50 style mechanic wear would be pretty awesome. And Shady 80 Fund is very low. Um, but with having the extra side of the shop, I'm hoping we can crank out enough work that I can actually afford to partially put the 80 together and get it ready to run at Coal Mine. But that's still going to be a long shot. And Angel, my wife and I were talking about you the other day. We were watching a TV show, and there was a guy that looked just like you on there. Um, and I thought it was maybe you at first, but it turned out it wasn't. Coal Mine Cruiser Classic. It's Gotham City Land Cruisers annual event up in Roush Creek in Pennsylvania. Uh, you know, really awesome time cruiser four wheeling event. Um, the only Land Cruiser books that we use, are the factory service manuals. We've got all the newer stuff just online on subscription through Toyota, but theirs only goes back to like the early 90s. So the 62, uh, 60, 40 series, we've got those all hard book. Um, and Coal Mine's got everything from mild to pretty decent rock crawling. They do competitions out there. It's early mid July-ish. Like I want to say somewhere around like July 10th, somewhere in that neighborhood. It usually falls right around my birthday, but it's like a week early this year. And it's always hot. Um, of course, I'm always hot when it's above 60 degrees out. I wanted to turn the AC on at the shop today, and I think it was like in the 70s. Oh, and see, there's Dad coming through with the link. Coal mine's a good time. Um, I haven't been in a couple of years, and I haven't had a truck of my own at coal mine since like 2002. Uh, but it's a good time. tons and tons of really awesome people, to go hang out with and go wheeling with. And you might even get to meet such Land Cruiser legends as Beano and Schmuckster. And cool, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to jump off of here for the evening. The dogs are pacing and licking their lips behind me. So they're ready for their dinner. Different kind of Beano. Beano is the Land Cruiser parts guru. He has every part number to every part on every Land Cruiser committed to memory. And also the entire history on every part. But yeah, I'm going to jump off of here. I'll be back on next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat place. Thanks to everybody that tuned in. And if you haven't already, subscribe below. And if you really dig the videos and live chat, check out our Patreon link down in the subscription. And I'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.